Donna with More Than a Review, and I'm thrilled to be here with Tessa. We had just briefly met at Blue Ridge. Yes. That's right, Blue Ridge Mountain. And I just knew I wanted to share her books. You know, my niece is 14 and I know it's a tough age. And so we are going to share. Tessa just has a passion for teens and she wants you to know you're not alone. She knows what you're going through, those trials. And I think a lot of people my age, like, we didn't have to deal with the things you guys are dealing with. And so it's really good to have somebody who can really relate to what they're doing. So we're going to talk about her book, Coffee Shop Devotionals, and she is going to share with you the correlation about needing your coffee and needing God, and I loved it. It was a great correlation. And then I'd like for her to share a little bit about her other books, because I think, you know, even your fiction books, the kids relate to them. The teens just really relate to what your characters are going through. So
right,
we'll talk a little bit about those too.
Awesome.
All right, so just share maybe a little bit about yourself and how you got into writing.
Yeah. My name is Tessa Emily Hall, and I have been writing my whole life pretty much. I started by writing fiction, and at 3 years old. So that's really what I just enjoyed doing as a kid. That's how I played as a kid. And so I started really pursuing writing seriously once I became a teenager. And I knew my passion was to write stories and also, devotional books for teenagers, even when I was a teen myself. Just because I know that the teen years are such an influential period of time in our lives. They're when we transition into who we're going to be for the rest of our lives. And I just know that teenagers, you face a lot of temptations and life-changing decisions. And I just want to encourage teenagers to really make the most of their youth, to do that by pursuing God, pursuing a relationship with Him, and to build that foundation that can carry you throughout the rest of your life, that faith foundation. And then also just to embrace the unique way that He's created you to be, so that way you can pursue the life that He's called you to pursue. So that's really what gives me the motivation to write for teenagers through both fiction and nonfiction as well.
That is awesome. And so tell them a little bit about the Coffee Shop Devotionals.
Yes.
We'll share that.
Yeah, so Coffee Shop Devos is a teen devotional, and it is categorized by the teen's daily needs. So I have what's called a menu of contents at the beginning of the book, and teenagers can find what it is that they're specifically searching for, or what they're dealing with. So if they are going through loneliness, or if they need encouragement to be themselves, then they can go to that specific chapter and read a devotion that speaks directly to what it is that they're going through. And so the reason I did that was just because I want teenagers to realize that Christ is really the answer to every longing of our hearts, and He's with us through everything, and He wants to have that relationship with us. And so in each chapter is also correlated with a specific coffee drink, which that was a lot of fun. So if you're in need of rest, you can go to Decaf Finding Rest. And also there's a coffee recipe that I created in each individual chapter as well. So that was fun.
Yeah. So kind of tell us too just a little bit about your fiction books, so they can go back and look at those, and if they were a series or if they're all standalone.
Yeah. So Purple Moon and Fallen Leaves, that's the series. However, Fallen Leaves is the sequel, and that can be read as a standalone. So that series is about a 16-year-old girl, and she is, during the summer, she's having to face a new beginning in her life while her mom is at a Christian rehab, and she's just really searching for a new beginning. And actually I wrote that book when I was 16 years old myself. And so that was a lot of fun to sort of express some of myself through that character. And I think that's that gives it a layer of authenticity. So I have a lot of teen readers who will read that and say that they feel a connection with Selena, even though they have never actually been through the experiences that she's been through. And I think it's because I wrote that at a young age. So yeah, that series is really close to my heart. But Unwritten Melody, that's a standalone novel, and it's a romance, a contemporary romance. All of these are contemporary actually, but so yeah, my heart behind writing fiction is the same as with nonfiction. I really just want to write stories for teens that can connect with them through whatever it is that they're going through, and also help them to feel as if they're not alone, help them to feel as if they can identify with the teenagers, even if even if they can't exactly relate with them through in what they're going through, they can still, have that kind of connection with them in some way, and just enjoy the escapism through reading their stories.
And I was going to have you just share with them a couple of your topics that you address in here, because we talked about loneliness, and you have some other topics.
Right, yeah. So loneliness, and also I have a chapter that's called Everyday Issues. So basically, that covers a lot of different issues that teenagers have. Depression and hopelessness, and bullying, temptation that teenagers might face. So you'll find a lot of those kind of issues, and even like the temptation to be lazy and to just not really spend your time wisely as a teenager. So I cover a lot of those specific issues in that chapter, Everyday Issues, including bullying and that sort of thing.
So what do you think listeners and readers would be surprised to know about you?
Oh goodness. Okay, so I guess one thing is, of course, I'm a huge coffee lover, but I take forever to drink my coffee throughout the day. So even though I love coffee, I don't have like one cup after another. It takes me a long time just to get through one cup. And actually, I used to just in the mornings make myself a big mug of coffee and then sip on it until like 5 p.m. But just recently, I've had to cut back on my caffeine intake because of sleep issues. And so I've had to, stop drinking my coffee in like the afternoon or even at noon or whatever. But so that's something that people think is kind of funny about me.
That is. So if you were going to give advice to teens out there that are just struggling with any of their issues, like what would you recommend to them?
So I would recommend, it just sounds, like a cliche, but it is the truth, because whatever you are going through, Christ can meet you there, and He is with you, and He wants you to use that as an opportunity for you to draw closer to Him and to realize that He really can sustain you through this, and He can give you what it is that you need to keep moving forward and to have hope for your future. So that's why, I just encourage teenagers to do what they can now to get to know Him in a relationship. Not just, because of your parents' faith. Don't just go to church and say that you're a Christian, but understand that He's inviting you to come to Him and to get to know Him and to get to know the love that He has for you despite what you've done. So I would just, encourage them to keep making it a priority to have a quiet time with Him, this time where your relationship with Him can be developed and you can get to know His heart more.
Yeah, that's great. And I do think one of the things you hit on is that He'll forgive anything, like His grace. I've been interviewing authors this week, and they've shared stories of just God's amazing grace. And I think sometimes as a teen, you just have a lot of guilt over, you feel like you're never doing all the things you should be doing. And for them to feel that and know that, I think is
and I think a lot of teenagers, they might have the wrong idea of Christianity. So they might think that it's just about following a list of rules, and if you don't do something right, then God is mad at you. But that's not the case at all. It's through our adoration toward Him that compels us to want to live for Him and to pursue a godly lifestyle. But He loves us despite the mistakes that we've made and despite our history, and He longs for you to come to know Him and to come to know that love, so that way you can really see yourself the way that He sees you and embrace the unique way that He's created you to be, and also so that you can pursue the life that He's called you to live, and to live that life to the fullest and to abundantly. The enemy doesn't want us to do that. He wants us to stay condemned, because then we won't experience the fulfillment, the rich life that God's created us to have. So just remember that. Just remember that no matter what you've done, there's always going to be forgiveness. There's always going to be hope, and God will offer grace to you in whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you've done before. So.
And let me, one more question I wanted you to share is, let's say for the Christian teens out there, what advice do you give to them when they feel like they're just all alone being a Christian even in this environment. So
that's a great question. Yeah, I would just say, we're going to, as Christians, we're going to face persecution from the world because of our faith. And it is important to get with a body of believers, but even if you don't have that, even if you don't have friends and you feel like you're alone going through this faith journey all by yourselves, just know that God is pleased with that, and our whole purpose in life is to please Him and not to please others. So others might be persecuting you, they might make fun of you, but just know that God has a reward for you. He sees the efforts that you're taking to pursue a godly lifestyle, and He sees the effort that you take to try to develop a relationship with Him, and He has, He's going to bless you for that, even if others are making fun of you. Just remind yourself of, Jesus, He went through the same thing, and He said that we're going to experience the same thing as well. But it's during these times that our faith is being tested and we are strengthened spiritually, and our relationship with Jesus is just going to be that much sweeter as well.
Thank you. That is great. And one last thing I thought I would mention, because we've got Overcomer coming out this weekend, and I know you support Christian media.
Yeah.
So anything that you would encourage, like the teens out there, to maybe go to the movies or support, good, clean Christian content?
Yeah, definitely. I would just say be careful about what it is that you do feed yourself, what you consume through the media, whether it's books and TV, and even radio, music, and that sort of thing. Just be careful and be mindful, and really, as you do develop that relationship with Jesus, then you're going to be more compelled to live in such a way that honors Him and that pleases Him, and you're not going to want to be consumed with all the filth that's out there, and so just be mindful of what you're feeding yourself, because that is going to come into play in some way in your life. But just know that there's better options out there. That there's books and there's music and movies that are positive and that can encourage you to make the most of your life and to pursue a relationship with Jesus, and that can help you through what it is that you're going through. So yeah, I would just encourage you to just, even if you're a teenager, and just with your parents, analyze what it is that you might be consuming yourself with in books and movies and TV shows, and ask yourself if that's really helping you to be healthy spiritually, or if it's drawing you a little bit further away from God. But I would just encourage you to keep pursuing Him, and then you'll be compelled to make the right decisions in that area.
It is, you hear garbage in, garbage out, but there's even science about the neuroplasticity that hopefully you'll be learning eventually in college, but that, you do change your brain with that kind of content.
So true.
Well, thank you guys for listening, and we will have links to her books, because it was about her books, but I think just getting to know your heart and your message will definitely compel them to want to go out and see your stuff. But thank you guys so much. We'll have links.
Bye. Thank you.